Alright guys, this video lesson is going through two-step equations with decimals. Please make sure you have the notes open as well. It looks just like my PowerPoint on my screen. You should be filling out the PowerPoint slides with me as I go through the video. So remember yesterday we talked about two-step equations, and that the goal is still to isolate the variable, right? So in this problem we want to get m by itself. First thing we need to do is keep, change, right? I'm looking at two different subtraction signs, so I just want to get one sign total. So I'm going to keep, change first before I do any solving. So that makes it positive 0.5 m, change it to a plus sign, change it to a positive 5.5. Bring everything else down, equal sign, negative 24.5. There we go. So now this looks like an equation I can solve. So I'm going to draw my line straight down my equal sign, and I'm going to look for any addition or subtraction to do first. So I do see a plus 5.5, so my inverse would be to subtract 5.5, right? That's the opposite. When I do that, I would be left with 0, so I can just bring down my 0.5 m. And then whatever I do on the left, I have to also do on the right. So I'm going to subtract 5.5 on the right-hand side as well. So off to the side, let's do our math. Well, negative 24.5, and I'm subtracting 5.5. Well, let's keep, change, and we'll make that a plus sign and a negative 5.5. So same sign, add and keep. So I'm going to do 24.5 plus 5.5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 5 is 10 again. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. Drop your decimal straight down when you are adding decimals. So my answer here is 30, but remember, keep your sign, so it's a negative. Now my next step, I'm not done yet because my variable is still not by itself. So I need to divide by 0.5 on both sides. So off to the side, let's do that. We have 30 divided by 0.5. Well, remember, we can't have a decimal on the outside, so I have to slide, baby, slide, and make that outside number a whole number. So that becomes a 5, and inside, I have to also slide my decimal over 1 and put a 0 in my blank space. So that becomes 300. So I need to do 300 divided by 5. 5 goes into 3, 0 times. 5 goes into 30, 6 perfect times. Subtract, we're left with 0. But don't forget, we still have another 0 to bring down. 5 goes into 0, 0 times. So our answer here for m would be 60, but be careful. It was a negative 30 divided by a positive 0.5. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. So make sure our answer here is negative 60. All right, let's take a look at number 2. First things first, I'm going to draw my line straight down the middle of my equal sign. Look at any addition or subtraction first. I see minus 9.7. So to clear that away, I'm going to add 9.7. When I do that, that gives me 0, and I'm left with m divided by 2. What I do to one side, I have to also do to the other, so I'm going to add 9.7 to the other side as well. Now it's a negative 7 plus a positive 9.7. So they are different signs I need to subtract. So off to the side, 9.7 minus 7.0, because we need to line up our decimals. We should get 2.7. The sign of my bigger number was a positive, so it's going to be positive 2.7. Now remember, a fraction bar is division. So I see right now m divided by 2. In order to clear away that division, my inverse operation is to multiply by 2, which will leave me with just m equals, whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other. So 2.7 times 2, well, 2 times 7 is 14. Put a 4, carry a 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Don't forget your decimal. So this answer should be positive 5.4. So m equals 5.4. All right, next one's a little tricky. So still going to draw our line. Now in this problem, we cannot touch anything on top of our division bar here before we get rid of that 0.5. It's kind of like order of operations here. We have to get rid of the 0.5 down below before we can do anything with the v minus 4.9. So first things first, if I am dividing something, if I see division, I need to be doing multiplication. So to get rid of that 0.5 over here, I'm going to multiply by 0.5, which I'll just be left with v minus 4.9. Bring down your equal sign, but what I do to one side, I have to also do to the other. Be careful, remember when you're multiplying decimals, you don't line them up. So let's do this. 5 times 8 is 40, put a 0, carry the 4. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19, so I'll put a 9, carry a 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, so I'll put my 6, but don't forget your decimal. So there are 2 decimals in my first number, 1 decimal in my second number, so I need 3 numbers after my decimal in my answer. Also be careful, it was a negative 1.38 times a positive 0.5, so this should be a negative 0.69. Now from here, our next step, we have v minus 4.9, so to clear that, I need to add 4.9, which will give me 0, and I'd just be left with my v. But what I do to one side, I have to also do to the other. So I'm going to do it off to the side. We have a negative 6.90 plus a positive 4.9. Different signs, subtract. When you're subtracting decimals, make sure you line them up. So we're doing 4.9 minus 0.69. Okay, so be careful with those decimal points. Make sure they get lined up. 0 minus 9, I can't do it. Definitely need to borrow to make it a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 8 minus 6 is 2. And 4 minus 0 is 4. So v equals 4.21. Check our sign. The sign of our bigger number was a positive, so we are good with that answer. So final answer is v equals 4.21. Now these next two problems, we have to distribute before we can solve our equation. So notice, even though our variable's on the right-hand side, we still follow the same procedures. I'm going to distribute this negative 0.3 first. So I'll just bring down negative 4.8, bring down my equal sign. Now, negative 0.3 times n is just negative 0.3n. And then negative 0.3 times negative 1.4. Off to the side, I'm going to do it. 1.4 times 0.3. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. Got to move our decimal point 2 places. And it was a negative times a negative, so it's a positive 0.42. Back in our problem. Sorry about that. Now from here, draw our line straight down our equal sign, and we still have the same goal of isolating our variable. For this, look for addition or subtraction first. I see I'm adding 0.42, so I'm going to subtract 0.42 to make that 0 over here. I'm just left with negative 0.3n. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other, so I need to subtract 0.42 on the left as well. Off to the side, I'm going to do this. It's a negative 4.8 minus a positive 0.42. So if I keep changes it to an addition and a negative. So same sign, add and keep. So 4.8 plus 0.42 Make sure your decimal's lined up. So 0 plus 2 is 2. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. So 5.22, but both of our signs were negative, so we need to keep it as a negative 5.22. Final step here, we still need to get that variable by itself. Right now, I'm looking at negative 0.3 times n, because my number and my variable are smushed together. So I need to do division to solve for my variable. Keep that negative with your negative 0.3. So in order to get n by itself, I need to figure out what negative 5.22 divided by 0.3 is. We are going to have to slide baby slide one time to do this division. So we should have 52.2 inside our house and 3 on the outside. When I do this division, 3 goes into 5 one time. Subtract, we're left with a 2. Bring down the other 2. 3 goes into 22 7 times to get 21. We're left with a 1. Bring down our 2. And now 3 goes into 12 perfectly 4 times. We're left with 0 and nothing else to bring down. But final step, don't forget you have to shoot your decimal through the roof. If it lets me. There we go. So n equals 17.4, and it is going to be a positive because negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. All right, last one. We have to distribute that negative outside of our parentheses here. Be careful. If it's just a negative, it's the same as if I were to put a little 1 right there. Remember, that's just an invisible 1. So I need to distribute negative 1 to both numbers inside my parentheses. Negative 1 times positive 4.2p gives you a negative 4.2p. Negative 1 times negative 13.3 gives you a positive 13.3. Bring down your equals, bring down your 28. From here, now I'm ready to draw my line down my equal sign and solve this. Look for any addition or subtraction first. I have 13.3 being added, so to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract 13.3. That will leave me with 0. Bring down my negative 4.2p. Bring down my equal sign. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So we're subtracting 13.3 from the other side as well. Can't do 0 minus 3. I'm going to have to borrow from the 8. Make it a 7 so that that becomes a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 7 minus 3 is 4. 2 minus 1 is 1. Drop your decimal straight down. And we get 14.7. From here, our p is still not alone. I see negative 4.2 times p, so I need to divide. Keep your negative with you, which will give me p by itself, and I need to figure out what 14.7 divided by negative 4.2 is, which will give me my answer. Definitely have to slide that decimal, so our division problem should be 147 divided by 42. 42 does not go into 1, put a 0. 42 does not go into 14, put a 0. 42 goes into 147. 3 perfect, not perfect times. 3 times 42 is 126. Subtract, I'm left with 21. I'm going to have to add a decimal and add a 0 because I'm not done yet. 42 goes into 210, 5 perfect times. And I'll be left with 0 with nothing else to bring down. Don't forget to shoot that decimal straight up through the roof into your answer, which is 3.5. Final thing we cannot forget, it was a positive 14.7 divided by a negative 4.2 gives us a negative 3.5 for our final answer. Go ahead, and the next slides are practice for you. You should do these independently and then check the key to see how you did. Good luck.